What's good, people?
Hello.
It's Josh here.
Sheena.
And why are we making this video? We thought we'd start off by kicking off this whole year with a word from us, the founders of Ultimate Artists. This is the year 2020. 10 years have gone. The next decade is now ahead. Everything you do between now and when this decade ends is all about what you do every day, the choices that you make, the dreams that you're following, the goals that you're going for. And we've got something to say about that, because I think that it's quite easy for us to deal with the singing, the songwriting, all that stuff that we've done in our careers for so long. But you know, for a lot of the time we're missing out on actually feeding people from the inside out as well. So what we wanted to do was kind of kick off this first video as one of many that is kind of dealing with the inner stuff, not just the outer stuff as well. So
you talked about dreams there.
Yes, because we all have dreams.
Yeah, and you know, one of the questions that you guys might have been asked is, what is your dream? But I want to kind of break that down for a second, because we were discussing this and we were talking about...
I got loads of questions from people.
And we were talking about what dreams mean, and we've kind of got a bit of a take on it, haven't we?
Well, the first thing I want to say about your dreams is that, of course, make sure you've got one. But I also want to just say that whatever your dream is, especially like I'm 42, right? You know, you're 30 something. 35. You know, some of you.
You're supposed to ask a woman her age.
Oh, sorry, sorry about that. No, 16.
Oh God,
some of you
so underage.
Some of you are about 16. Some of you are younger. Some of you a bit older, right? What I want to say is it's important to not be attached to the first draft of what your dream is. So let me break that down a little bit. We've all got these dreams, right? And we all have sort of like this picture in our minds as to what this dream is going to look like. What I want to say to you is, because you're still growing, because you're still evolving, because you're still figuring things out, don't be too attached to what that first draft looks like, because it's going to change.
Yeah.
And it's going to evolve as you evolve. It's going to change and diversify just as you are growing and diversifying. So what I want to say is, like, keep the purpose there. Like, one day I want to become, or I want to do this, or I want to impact people in this way. I want to bring something positive with my music or my writing or whatever. But don't be too attached to what you're doing right now, because you need to learn from those things, from those processes, to add value to what your end dream is anyway.
And I think you just said it there. It is a process. You're going to realize that things, how you see them right now, is going to change. You're going to learn and you're going to grow, and that's going to enhance everything that you're doing beyond your imagination at this point. So if I take myself, for example, I was pursuing being an artist, and I was also working for an agency in London. And when I moved to London, my dream, as I thought it was back then, was to be a singer, to be a singer-songwriter, to be an R&B star. But as time went on, what I realized was that actually I didn't have any real desire to be in the limelight. Actually, what I wanted to do was help other artists. So if you'd have asked me 10 years ago what I would be doing today, I could have never have told you that I was going to be a director of this company helping artists like yourself, right? But what I learned was that as I look back, a lot of things that didn't make sense at the time 100% make sense right now. Absolutely.
And that's why you can't stay attached to your first draft of whatever your dream is. There's gonna be a second draft of that. There's gonna be a third, maybe fourth draft. But the point is, at some point you're gonna realize exactly what it is you're supposed to do, what your true purpose is, and then you'll start to really fly into it. So for instance, you know, some time back I was sweeping the streets of London. You know, that had nothing to do at that time, I thought, with being a vocal coach that would be working with people like Rita Ora or Kelly Jones from the Stereophonics or Little Mix. Like, at that time, sweeping the streets of London, I wasn't going, yeah, I'm going to be teaching Rita Ora. That didn't even occur. But at that time, I had to take a job, and I wanted to have the type of character that did things with integrity and did things with like a sense of it, like purpose, and do things well and do things with excellence. That's what I'm trying to say. So it doesn't matter what I did on the way to my dream. I had to make sure that I did whatever I did at that time with such excellence until I learned whatever it is I had to learn from that job, right? So you might be in a situation right now where you're going, I'm a waitress and it's not what I want to do, it's not my dream. I totally get that, but still do your best as a waitress. Still give your all, still do the best you can, give your excellence, be on time, you know, serve people with a smile, have the energy, make sure you go to bed on time so that you wake up for your job and really deliver in the best personality you can. And look, when you give your best, you will learn such valuable lessons from doing that. And when you feel like you've learned everything you need to learn from that period of time, you can then move on. Some people move on because they're just so fed up that they start actually losing that sense of excellence and integrity, and then they get fired or they just walk out because they're done. But actually you don't learn anything from that situation. Okay, here's a question. What if you were in a situation where your boss is treating you bad? Totally get that. Listen, when you give your best and you can see that somebody's treating you in an unfair way, you will learn what you need to learn about how to stand up for yourself and how to value yourself. And when you've learned that lesson, you can move on. Does that make sense? So do things with integrity, do things with excellence on your way to your dream.
Yeah, 100%. I completely agree. There have been jobs that I've had to work where I didn't want to do the job because I wanted to do music. And I bet there's loads of you that feel like that. You're having to do a part-time job to fund your music career. But my take on it was that I gave my job respect. Like, I went in every day and I said to my boss, when he employed me, he asked me about my music career. And I said, look, between the hours of 9 to 5, I will give you guys 150%. You'll get everything from me. But outside of those hours is my time. So my mentality was, I'm going to go in, I'm going to do the job with the utmost respect for the job, because ultimately that job was paying me. It was giving me the financial freedom to pay my band or pay for studio time or pay for a vocal coach. And so every day I kind of had this sense of gratitude that I at least had that outlet and that resource to be able to do my music. Because you know, how many of you might live in a place like here, London, like nothing comes for free, right? So if you can't change your circumstances, you can definitely change the way you feel about them, the way you think about them, your mindset towards them. And I think that's the beauty of what we do at Ultimate Artists. Josh said it's not just about the singing, songwriting, production. It's about all that stuff on the inside as well, to help you get through each day feeling happy and feeling at peace with your circumstances and your situation, you know?
Definitely. And you know what? The interesting thing is, with pursuing your dream, you're never ever gonna get the whole picture straight away. You're never gonna connect all the dots straight away. You're only going to connect what needs to be connected in front of you at that time. And there is a whole picture, but you only sometimes see that with hindsight, only when you've kind of like gone down the year and then you look back in retrospect and you're like, man, look how that connected to that and look how that helped that. That's the only way we end up connecting the dots, but there's no way to see the whole picture straight away. So what does that mean? It means that you have to be open to change on the way to your dream. But here's the cool thing about change: it doesn't come without a challenge. You're gonna be challenged in ways that test your character. And what is character? It's that thing where you are learning to develop who you are becoming, the kind of person you want to become, the kind of person you want to be.
To break that down a little bit more, sorry to interrupt you,
right.
But the person that you're becoming and the person you want to be, what does that mean exactly? So things like discipline. We spoke about respect a second ago, but discipline. You know, I always say to artists that the things that you do with discipline, the smallest of things you do with discipline, shows how you're going to handle the bigger things as well. So little things like waking up every morning and making your bed, right? It's just the small things that we do with attention, with discipline.
100.
They're the kind of things that build your character.
100%.
Especially in this music business. Like, I cannot emphasize enough, and Josh, you're right in the heart of it, but how important character is in terms of the grander picture of what the music business is about.
Yeah.
Your reputation precedes you.
Yeah.
If you're the most talented person, but you're not disciplined, so you're not turning up to sessions on time, or when you're there, you're kind of doing a half-hearted job, I can bet my bottom dollar that people will turn around and go, yeah, talented, but don't want to work with them again.
Doing your 15 minutes of training.
Yeah.
An hour to whatever it is for you, doing your piano practice, doing your production work, doing your reading, all of those little things, they build up to much bigger things in the long run. And this is the thing about becoming someone. Like, we're not the type of species where you can just like plug a chip into your brain and then download a bunch of stuff. No, but how do you progress? How do you develop? By learning. We can read books and learn so much. We can sit down and have a tutorial via YouTube or Udemy or UA, whatever these outlets are, and you can learn to do things that you want to do. And eventually you become skilled at these things. So, but yes, there is a challenge involved. You're never going to get to the next level without a challenge. And I know a lot of you are gonna, and probably are right now, facing huge challenges. But you know what? That challenge is going to bring about the change that you need if you go through that with the right integrity and with the right character and with the right discipline. Because you cannot level up without a challenge, and you cannot get change without a challenge. Your change, your breakthrough is within your challenge. So I think that's it from us.
I think so. I hope that's given you food for thought, guys. And you guys coming into UA, you've signed up, you will sign up, you'll come to a masterclass, you'll come to a online masterclass. Bear all this in mind, because really and truly, the things that we've just talked about are at the heart of what we do. And we're saying it to you, but we live it day in, day out. And we do that because we want to bring you guys the best of us and the best of what we have to offer.
Absolutely.
So
a lot of what we're saying is coming from experience.
Yeah.
Don't think that we've read all this stuff in a book and we're like, yeah, change is good because, oh, we've read about it. No,
and
we've lived it.
One thing I just
and then living it.
One thing I'll say to wrap up is, remember that everything you're going through is a process, and some of the things that you have to go through might not make sense in the moment, but when you look back, like Josh was saying, like, you'll see how the dots connect and how they were all related. If I think back to my own journey, so I started singing when I was really young. I moved to London when I was 18, met a producer, started to work with him, and also started to have vocal sessions from him. And then it was through him that I met Josh, and then through Josh I learned about UA. Like, do you get it? Like, everything's connected. You can't see it in the moment, but in hindsight it absolutely makes sense. So the point of me saying that is, if there's a day when you're having a particularly bad experience or you're not feeling great, just try and get yourself out of it by thinking, even this has its place and has its purpose. And it might not make sense right now, but at some point it really will make sense. And lift yourself out of that mood or out of that resentment or whatever the emotion is, because I can guarantee you're going to have days like that as well. And it's all about our response. You know, there's a quote, what is it? 10% of life is what happens to you, 90% is how you react to it. Music's going to test you in that sense. So, and
if you can't connect the dots straight away, it's okay.
Yeah.
Nobody can.
100%.
So look, I want to wrap up by just saying this, just to summarize everything. Don't stay married to the first draft of what your dream is. Stay open-minded to other possibilities, other procedures, other processes that might occur on the way towards your dream. Okay, there's a first draft, second draft, third draft, fourth draft if it has to be, but there will be development, there will be progress if you stay open. And then also, in order to really get the change that you're looking for, that progression that you're looking for, you've got to face that challenge. and have face it with the right character and personality and integrity, because in order to get that change, you have to go through the challenge. You can't get that change without challenge. Like, even in the word challenge, the word change is inside the word challenge.